Hi, I'm Alexa. You're on the Real Life Alexa channel, and it feels like it has been a long while since I have just done a video like this. It is Wednesday. Let's just wind through some stuff because I don't even know where to begin. There's been so much stuff going on. Work is insane. Just busy this year. Normally, like, I get busy for a few months and then I'm slow a few months and I'm busy and slow. Like, it kind of goes up and down. It's never constant. But this year has just been busy. This year, there does not feel like there has been a really true slowdown. I think part of that is because I have also had quite a lot of travel this year, and I have more travel coming up. On top of that, last week I was off work the whole week. I actually worked like 2 hours Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the morning each morning. I had my wisdom teeth out. I probably should have done it a few years ago. There wasn't really a need to. There wasn't really a need to do it now, but it was just time. And I was checking there's a fly flying around. It just hit my lip. I was checking my benefits, and I correctly, it looks like, read them that we actually have a really good plan for getting them removed. So I was like, let's do it now in case anything happens. I want to make sure like I take care of any type of health thing that I can while I don't have any. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. The only job that I've ever lost in a downsizing, it was the one job where I did not see it coming. Honestly, they were taking work from other people and giving it to me and training me how to do it. And all the other people were like, something's coming. They're taking our work away. They're giving it to you. We're going to get let go and all this. And then they let go of those people and me. And it was like a shock to all of us. I didn't really think that they were going to let go of anyone. I was sort of in la rose-colored glasses land at the time. But yeah, so you never know, right? I don't see anything happening with my job, but also with the way the current administration is insanely messing with the economy and the America First policies, the isolationism, all of these things, they may not happen immediately, but when they have been used by every other country out there who has ever tried them, it tanks that country's economy more often sooner than later. So then there is also, they're attacking every industry, right? From destroying farming subsidies to science and research and grants for that, to the ed department is getting destroyed. Like, they're destroying everything. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in. They seem to be creating an environment where companies aren't going to invest in this country. People are, the ed department, people are not going to be able to go back to school because they aren't going to fund the things. The tariffs and exports on farming products, right? It's insane. So I was like, while I have the good insurance that's good for America, it still cost me more than it would have cost if I lived in England. I went and got them done. My dad was in town for the whole week. It was absolutely wonderful. I don't normally get to see him for that long of a time at a time. It's normally like 3 or 4 days. We definitely went to, if you've been in the Midwest and you know Culver's, we've definitely went to Culver's quite a few times. It was the doctor prescribed ice cream, okay? That was one of the foods they said I could eat. So we went there, and my dad was like, you haven't really eaten today. Do you want one of those chocolate malts again? And I was like, yes, I do. Let's go get that. So I had 3 or 4 over the course of the week. So we went several times. That was quite delicious. He took care of me, and we just had a really nice sort of, I think we both took naps every day. So that was good. And then there were a couple events around town and the county that we live in. So we moseyed over to a few of those. We didn't go out every day, but we went out every day in terms of like leaving the house and just getting outside, but we didn't go out to like an event every day, but there was some stuff. Monday, I just stayed home. I think either Wednesday or Thursday, I was just like, I'm not leaving the house. I don't feel good. Like, I'm staying here. We went out, obviously, to my garden plot. My dad has gardened for decades. I think he's kind of excited that one of his children has finally sort of taken up one of his hobbies in a way. So he was very excited to go and investigate my plants and how I'd set everything up in person. I've sent him pictures, but he was, taking a look in person. And then while I did a few things, I've been doing really well on like training the squash tendrils. They're not really like little, but they grow very big. But the branches of the squash that grow out, I've been training them over this little trellis. I do think I need a taller trellis. In my most recent video, you can see it took over most of the trellis already. The pumpkin plants were a month behind. They haven't even grown. They're just hitting the growth stage right now. It's not quite room for them, but we'll figure it out. The 3-foot trellis, the idea is definitely there and it works. I need probably a 6-foot trellis. And then what I just did yesterday evening was I went to Home Depot and I bought these 1-inch square stakes. They're 4-foot stakes, and I hammered them into the ground. I used a rock that I found sitting on the side of one of the rocks I found on the side of the garden. I hammered them at least a foot. Some of them went in a little bit further. And then I have sort of tied the tomato cages that I'm using as a trellis. I've zip tied them to these stakes. We have had 2 really, really bad storms in the last maybe month, and it actually blew the trellis over on top of the squash plants. So I'm hoping that by doing this and having those stronger stakes in the ground, I've also moved the tomato cage. It has 4, they're really thin little, it's not wire, but they're very thin little metal posts for these things because they're meant to be made into a square and then around the plant. And I don't have them in the square, so they're not quite as sturdy. But those spokes are not very sturdy in the ground. And then I think a couple of them didn't go all the way in. They probably go about a foot into the ground themselves, but I think a couple of them. So I moved them around and got them a little more sturdily into the ground. So I've done a lot in the garden. The squash has, I think I counted 5 actual acorn squash growing so far. One of them is literally like the size, like it's like the size of my hand, my fist, if I like, it's already that big. The others are between about maybe an inch long and the size of the other one. So I'm not going to say I'm going to be able to harvest them all yet because a lot of stuff could happen in the next maybe 2 weeks. I think it'll take for at least the one of them to get ripe enough to harvest. Like bugs could get it, birds could get them, a storm could come through, but fingers crossed. I've been super proud of how much I have done in the garden and how much it has sort of gone to plan so far, despite all of the setbacks on stuff not growing. I literally have, I think I currently have 7 or 8 carrots growing, and I probably put 60 to 70, maybe even 100 seeds in between the 2 rows. I did the same as I did last year. Last year, I had carrots coming out of my ears. There were so many of them. And this year, I got barely any. We had the corn seed fiasco, 12 out of 40. We had then the peas, the first round, they got eaten. The one plant that it got nibbled down to about an inch high, that one grew back, and I protected it with a little cage for a bit. And then obviously I have the fence up. The fence has been working amazingly, definitely has helped all of the plants, the kohlrabi, the broccolis, the peas. None of them have been eaten since I've got the fence up. So that has been such a good investment. Yes, it was like $60 something off Amazon. And then obviously I have the better green stakes, not just the little metal thin ones that came with the fence. Good investment though, because that is going to be reusable every year. The one pea plant that survived from planting on May 5th. That actually has 3 pea pods on it and more little flowers. The other ones are like weird. So normally they grow and they're sort of like spread out and elongated. And the ones that I planted when I got home from England at the beginning of June, they're super short, like they're much shorter, but they're super condensed. Like the leaves, there's no space. This little fly is getting me. The leaves aren't like, there's no stem between the leaves. They're all just sort of very like, they're tight together instead of super spread out. I saw a flower on one of the little plants. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but my fear has been, and it's still my fear with the corn, because I don't know if the 12 original plants, which are starting to tassel and starting to get corn cobs, I don't know if 12 was enough to pollinate all of the corn. And then obviously the second batch of, I think there's 12 or 13 plants in that, I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to tassel at the same time. So it's going to be interesting. I definitely have, I think I can harvest a couple of turnips soon. I'm going to see how big I can grow them. That'll be fun. The pepper plants, obviously, I put them in a bit later than I would have wanted to. Them being on the window ledge here, it seemed to stunt all of them. Like they all sort of, the peas, the broccoli, the peppers, everything that I had planted in seeds, they seemed to grow to a certain point, and then that was it. They just sort of hung out at that size until I planted them outside. Then it takes about a week for them to get over the sort of shock of being planted outside and like root into the ground. And then another week is when they start kind of taking off. Now the peas, unfortunately, it was so hot out. It's been about 3 weeks, I think, since I planted them out. They definitely seem established, but like I said, they're growing funny. They're not, I'll probably take a picture and share it at some point of the one that was from the original batch, which looks like normal, and then the others, which are like super condensed, and try and share that. I don't know that I will share any more videos until I have something to harvest. I don't know how much weeding people really want to watch. And that's literally all that's left to do now is weed and water them. And yeah, that's basically it. And then obviously at the end of the year, I have to take everything down, clear all the stuff out, and sort of make everything back to the way it was before I started this year. Everton is in the US starting, I think they're actually flying out today. They probably flew out this morning, or they're flying out tomorrow morning. Wait, no, I think there's events tomorrow. So I think they flew out this morning. I am not going to New York this weekend, and I will not be going to Atlanta next weekend. I do have my ticket for Chicago for next week. Like I said, work has been absolutely insane. It doesn't help that I've had so much travel. Yes, most of my travel so far has been for work this year. But it's still travel, and it still takes time away from my actual, like the stuff I do on a daily basis. And then having a week off because of my teeth out and my dad being in town, like that's a lot of time away from my desk as well. So next week, I still haven't figured it all out. I still have to like book a hotel, and I'll get it done. There is a dinner cruise Thursday night, and 2 of sort of my favorite players over time, one is retired, the other one, I think the second one is our current captain. But now I'm saying that out loud, I'm questioning if I have that right. But I know I was excited when I saw the names of the 2 players. I was like, that would be kind of fun to go to. So I'm going to try and see if I can do that. I think I can work it out where I like drive out, work half a day, drive out, get the hotel, do that, work Wednesday morning, go to the game in the afternoon, work most of Wednesday, There is an event Wednesday afternoon that I might go to because I think the event has a bus to the stadium. Soldier Field is the place that this game is happening. It's also the place for the Chicago Oasis show, which is on August 28th, something like that. It is in the worst freaking spot in terms of trying to get there. I was looking up the parking for, I think it was the Oasis show, and it's $60 to park there. I'm like, that's insane. I don't want to pay $60 to park. So I think what I'll do for the Oasis show is get a hotel, hopefully that has parking included, park at the hotel, and then get the train, the bus, or like an Uber or something over to the stadium for that. That is going to be next month's problem to figure out. All I have to figure out in the next week is the Everton game. That's all I need to do. And this is how I have been dealing with everything, is like, I just have to figure out next week. That's it. It's been so busy. It doesn't help. And I think a lot of people can relate to this. When life, your personal life, whether that's work or travel or home or family or whatever that is, when your personal sort of world is busy, having so much stuff going on in the world at large that you cannot ignore it completely, that you have to, that you're going to hear about it, you're going to see what's happening, it's going to creep in to your work because, you know, for example, all of the research funding everywhere that get research grants from the government, whether that is like R1 research universities, whether it's science labs, nonprofits, whatever it is that's doing research and gets grants, if those grants get taken away, your company is almost certainly hearing about it, talking about it. Your staff are probably saying, what are we going to do if this money goes away, right? If you are a farmer, if you are in agriculture, if you sell to farmers, and the farming industry and exports are being decimated, and farmers aren't going to be able to buy those new tractors and other equipment, they aren't going to be able to buy as much seed for next year, whatever it's going on, like, now you have uncertainty. Your company is going to say, how are we going to make up this money that we're not getting because of all of this other stuff going on? The auto industry, right? Same thing. If they're slashing the, gosh, I've forgotten the word, the tax exemption something for electric vehicles. Like when you buy one, you can write certain stuff off on your taxes, I think. They've taken that away. Electric vehicle makers are probably now, okay, less people are going to buy these because they don't have that incentive. And with prices going up, even if it's not an electric vehicle, I mean, I'm not going to go buy a new car unless I absolutely have to. And I won't be buying a new car, I'll be buying a used one, but that's beside the point. Even used car prices are sky high because they still haven't recovered from the lack of supply during COVID. So every single industry right now, like, I'm sure it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how much you just sit there and do your job, there's uncertainty in the world at large that is coming in and making stress on every industry. Oh, healthcare. Geez, how could I forget healthcare? The healthcare industry, I am just looking at the numbers of hospitals that are going to have to close because of the cuts to Medicaid. It's insane. It doesn't matter what insurance you have if there is no service provider, hospital, physicians, whatever it is, in your area. There are literally areas called healthcare deserts where you can't find a doctor for 100 miles either way, right? Specialties, you're looking at 200 miles. That is insane. And that is an intentional product, a known consequence of the policies that currently, and I know platforms change over time, but currently the policies for the past 10, 20, 30 years that the GOP has been pushing, it has been killing healthcare availability for people who even have insurance. It's insane. It's absolutely insane to me. I could not imagine the stress that people who work in healthcare right now are feeling, especially for those who know they work in one of those hospitals that survives using for Medicaid recipients, because that's who is in there. It's not constituents, but a kind of constituency, like your customers, your customer area base. There's no escaping it. So when you add all of those things together, my way of dealing with this is I'm going to just deal with what I can do, what needs to be done today, right? What absolutely has to be done today. If I have extra time, what needs to be done tomorrow? And then really kind of, I do look ahead. I don't only do today. I look for like next week. What do I need to do for next week? This is certainly not the best long-term strategy. You always have to have an eye on your long-term. Like, what do I need to do next year? What do I need to do in 3 years? What do I want to do in 5 years? Am I still on track for these things? But some days you do just have to take that step back and say, I am going to focus on what needs to be done today. And then I'm going to look at next week. So Oasis, that is next month's problem. I will deal with travel and hotel and everything I need to do for that when I get to it. It's a strategy to also make sure you don't watch. I don't watch any actual news programs. I don't need to have the added psychological influence of people's vocal tones, their nonverbal cues. I like to read the news because it's much less. There's always a way to insinuate in writing and get feelings, but non-verbal cues like our voice and everything can actually make a big difference in how we perceive a sentence. So I like to take that stuff out of the mix for myself. And then I limit myself to how much I actually read. I have no idea how she does it. I'm such a huge supporter and fan of what she does. Dr. Heather Cox Richardson, she does a letter practically every single night. They're called Letters to America, I believe. She also has a YouTube channel. I will try and find that link and put that in the description, where she talks about issues. Now, the thing that she does that I think is absolutely incredible is, I'm pretty sure she's a history professor. She literally takes what is happening and she gives you history behind it. She will talk about, there was just an event a couple weeks ago where it wasn't a common anniversary of something, but there was a historical event that had happened like 150 years ago or something, and she'll take the days to do things about that. She sticks to the facts. And these are documented, proven facts taught in history books, like taught in school, high school, college, like universally, like has both sides of the story in there, like it's the facts. I will read hers, but I also don't read them every day. There are some that are heavy. There are some days where I just don't, like, I like the topic, but I just don't want to read it because it's too much on my mental load that day. Protect yourself, because as busy as we get, you have to know where your limit is mentally and emotionally so that doesn't get drained, because when that gets drained, being busy becomes unsustainable. I haven't hit unsustainable yet. I am extremely tired, and I think that's just a product of still recovering. But yeah, that's why I've also skipped a video here or there, and then I did focus on getting the guarded videos up because I wanted you to see where it was at, and hopefully they were enjoyable. If you made it this far, we went all over the place today, very winding. I thank you for being here. I thank you for watching till the very end. Let me know how you're doing. I will see you on the next one. Be kind to yourself.